thunder of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful... A whirl and a vertical climb.
No, it's the Vatican it's its own place, you know. It's kind of like the center of the universe in the opposite way, you know. But we'll let them get away with it for another day. I mean, come on, guys. We got to be a little bit compassionate here, you know. The devil's got his due, and to the devil we must pay, eh? Well, it's been that way. There's always a devil at the doorstep saying, I want my due, baby. I want you. You pay up or I'm going to get you, you know. That's always the message here, you know. And so it comes down to survival because the old devil's at the doorstep. Well, we're putting the devil at the devil's doorstep. The reincarnation of reality in the form of Mister and Mizz Santa Claus joined in divine union right there in Santa's sleigh as they come along the way. I mean, you know, they play, man. They work hard, they play hard, man. They're beautiful beings. Soul presences that are truthfully, well, what can you say? The magic cosmic clowns of the universe have been hanging around forever. And they come to you in many different forms and formats, not just Santa's a tiny sleigh. That's just perfect for disclosure, man. It's just the way it ought to be, man. You know, Santa's 9 tiny reindeer landing there right on the Vatican's lawn, man. You know, there in the courthouse of love or whatever the hell that thing is called over there. Right there by the big rotunda thing where all the secrets are buried in the basement. Guess what? Santa's got more secrets in his backpack than you could bury in 100 billion years. So guys, just give it up. You know, truth has his way, and that's what Santa's there to play. It's disclosure, man. You know, it's coming forward in the most unusual sort of way. Aside that, you know, then we get permission from there for the mothership of love to land over here. We can party, babies. You know, build our little crystalline thing out there in the middle of nowhere. Somehow we're out there beyond the ziggurat, man. Way out there in the boonies, man, where we can't harm anybody, and the wildlife will love us for being there, man, you know. Because we're the wildlife too, man. Starting to wake up to that now, aren't you, man? They've been teaching that your wildness is dangerous. That wildness will take you to places where you can become self-destructive. And boy, you see the evidence all the way around you, don't you? People go crazy in that wildness, man, and they don't come back sometimes, you know. And you're saying, oh my God, what can I can't do it. It'll fool you like that every time, but just don't be afraid, man. Just let it come. Let Santa land on your front lawn, man. I mean, for real. Mister and Mizz. Now, don't get this singularity, the male authority figure. I don't care if he's jolly and happy and everything else, and fat and sassy too. I don't care, man. Just don't get this male authoritarian thing mixed up with it, you know. Santa is a young Samba right along with him. Remember the old pancake house? They had to change the name, went out of business. They were so shunned for what they'd done. But, you know, you got to understand, people were unconscious. They didn't realize. It was a joke. It didn't mean anything, you know. But, boy, some people took it to heart, didn't they? Well, they're going to take to heart Santa and his sleigh in a really big way and give up all the crap that goes on to divide us, you see. Because there rides inside of us the magic of that Santa Claus and his 9 tiny reindeer. And 9 is a mystical number, and that's why they try to get you to focus on 8, because then you'll be trapped there going round and round in circles all the time, man. Ever repeating ones, too. And then they got what they think they want, which is control over you, which was really kind of an insidious thought in a way, because what they're essentially saying, we need to be in control of creation through creation's children. We need to be in the place of the superior being. But there is no superior being. See, just everything's lived in equity because you feel it, you live it, you see. You put that God outside yourself, that great spirit is something outside yourself. Well, it is. It's in everything and everyone. But it arises from inside yourself. That's the source of the great spirit energy, man. It just is. See, that consciousness, we may have singularized it outside of ourselves for a while so we could experience separation from it, not understanding that was us. See, there's poetic symbolism here all the time. Think about this dude you just sat down and had a beer with a few minutes ago. Jesus. What does that name sound like? Jesus, you know. It's no name that any rightful person's going to wear in this reality unless there's some kind of mythical figure that a whole Roman Empire has surrounded itself into and corrupted the crap out of. But it has something far greater than that in meaning and purpose. Jesus, it's us. Jesus, us. Each person is that one. That's the demonstration of that life, and all the lives before it that were equally as miraculous, and there's been a bunch of them. You know, the sacrifice was symbolic, babies. Because that's a sacrifice everybody makes. One way or another, every lifetime you hang yourself on a cross, kind of. I mean, you put yourself through a torment in service to another, a cause greater than yourself, something along those lines. And you get the shit kicked out of you sometimes because of it. But just like that mythical figure, Jesus, who came back from the dead and rose up and did such a great thing that we still, celebrate his birthday to this day, thousands of years later. It's an amazing thing, see? But that's the message there. You're not dead, you're living here, babies, and you don't have to stay that way. Recognize your own sacrifice. Recognize what you've given up to be here, to be a presence here. See the compromise, man, the sacrifice. Suffer your way through it and then say, wow, why did I ever do that? And turn around and come back up from the ground, man, and feel your life and live your life as you feel it. You're in full and complete charge of this whole dynasty here from the presence of your heart. That's the message, and it's clear. So I've been playing all this holiday music, all this holiday tunage to make your heart large, babies, and it does, and it has a mythical role to it, just like them old legends do. And it's beautiful, and it's poetic, just like Grandpa sitting at the fireplace talking to you, man. Tell me about the good old days. See, I told you, I take you back into them, we live them. And we figure out that's today, and this is the way. Our heart is opening. So we can understand these things. These things that have been demonstrated to us again and again throughout even the worst of historical times. There's always been the beams of light that have shown us the way. They've held it steady for us, man, somehow. It's a cosmic clown thing. It's a Mr. Magoo thing, but somehow there have always been the presences in this reality. It ain't just one. It's a bunch of them that have come around and held the presence. You see, we tend to deify these people because we don't think we're capable of that shit. That's why they quickly, as soon as they get them out of the way, tend to deify them, because that makes it something separate from you that you got to achieve in some way. And not just realize yourself into through a simple, sweet moment, where for one moment, you're probably lying in some water somewhere, and it's very comfortable and pleasant. It's very expansive. That one moment we've described before that we're living in stills, he just grows from there. Where you realize the sun, the earth, the waters. You feel the life resonating from inside of you, from which all of this around you is created. You feel more than an extension of connection. You feel your love. You see it literally. The glowing energy of your love in all of these things that surround you, even the sweet water which has come to heal you and bring you back to life, warmed by the very heat of the sun inside of the mother's heart, inside of the earth, as well as that poetic symbology in the sky. It's union, you and I, the waters, the airs, the atmospheres, the firmaments, all of it, alive, conscious in its presence now, you see. It's been asleep. We did. We isolated it. We went to sleep. We didn't know. And in that very, very presence right there, because we were like Mr. Magoo banging around in the blindness of darkness, we didn't know. And on that very premise, every one of us can come back to life now and let go of the burdens we've borne here because of our presence in the drama and the sacrifices we've had to make. We can bless ourselves for those performances and get on the way. We've proven the heart again and again in ourselves. If one person does it, everybody does it. because we're all in that one person together. This is what you begin to experience, and only words can just attempt to describe something larger than this, which of course you're experiencing here because Grandpa shares it. I'm here to help us get it clear. I'm a lens through which the sun becomes uneclipsed. I'm the little handy wipes that, not only clear the lens, but turn it right side up instead of upside down, so you can live it. So you've held a dream. It seemed like a dream when we lived in the upside down world, and by God it was. It is. Switch it right side up. It's the very presence of love that we're living in. The dream that is always alive, no matter how we've played it. The conscious heart in motion. The one love of the human ocean, from which the vibratory harmony of creation arises. This Earth Mother, us, the Sun, as one, in unity with all of this creation. See, there's a reason why they made you think it was all egoic, to think that Earth was anything other than an obscure little blue planet with a bunch of human pigs running around on it, rooting in the dirt, No, babies. But that's what they wanted you to think, and that's what we felt. We chose that, so don't be mad about it. Let it go. We've learned our lessons here, and we've learned them well, boy. It's ripened us, hasn't it? I mean, do you think for a minute that once compassion returns here as a practical practice in this reality, that anybody's going back to the old ways? Not once you felt the light of the sun in your heart for real. Not once you felt life coming through you into this big deal around you. This big flow, this huge flow of energy that is all things living. See, each of us personifies the entire universe. An element of everything out there is in here. We are the same. In the image of the universe are we made, created, come into being. The universe creates us as these children, and has habitated and harbored and tolerated our existence in the unusual realm we've chosen to be in for quite some time now. Not understanding, our incredible ability of endurance. I mean, you got to understand, the universe thought we were goners many a time. And some may have in their own way turned their back on us, but they never really did. And turning their back, they were practicing their own brand of tough love. They got the idea from us. You see? This is why so many different aspects and forms of psychological expression come forward here in this human existence. Why it's so different than the animal kingdom around it, yet so in sync with it as you begin to awaken. Because it's meant to experience everything. Anything possible could be done here. And we could take it anywhere we wanted to go. We had to be loose and flexible like that. We had to be willing to experience the incredible darkness as well as the light. We had to learn to redefine these things by living through them. You see, only then could we really understand the source essence of love, so ripe inside of our heart, that it could discreate in order to recreate. It could bring itself to a numb state in order to find the greatest of feeling as we arose out of that numbness. You see, that's the thing. When you're down, there's always a coming back up. Always. Whether you pass on to the great beyond or not, it's still a coming back up, coming back to life, following the flow of your heart, being in the direction of that heart, the flow of the mighty river of life, the love in every being and presence that lives, that brings it forward as you, at the center of this creation, so that you can experience that moment of unity. Then you understand the mother's heart and why life arises through you. Now you can be the child of the universe and allow it to be so. Cheezo Weezo, how about that, Uncle Sam? It's us. And Gene, you know what I mean. Don't you be haughty like that now. We've been naughty enough, man, and then we'll be naughtier still. but in a really sweet and polite sort of way compared to where we've been before. See, there's a new conscious presence arising in the keepers of the dream, who are also the livers of that dream. And I'm not talking about the thing that purifies the alcohol out of your body either. I'm talking about the experiencers, those that are meant to be it, bring it into being so everyone else shares in it. See, of course, you hide your treasures away somewhere, and then you don't give nobody a treasure map. You just let them figure it out. And in time, they finally find it. You see, there's this old legend over in Utah, and I got to tell you, back in the day, by 1890 or 1900, maybe it was 1910, somewhere back there, maybe a little later than that, somewhere in the early part of their creative existence there, it was still pretty pioneerish, back in those days. But you got to understand, Utah was a really different place then. It was kind of a land of a living religion, and everything you thought, did, and said was somehow involved in that religious aspect. The Mormon thing was all people thought, eat, and breathed there. It was incredible, Across the pretty vast territory, though, there weren't that many beings there. It was just starting to really populate a bit, But it was coming together. It's, it was a very interesting place, I'm sure, in those days. But because, they had all those religious ways, and they were, people were prophesying, and, seeing Joseph Smith, who was dead, here and there, and, talking to angels and shit. The great leaders of the church up in Salt Lake City had erected these monuments to themselves and housed themselves in it and did secret ceremonies there, and tried to bring forward the powers of, regeneration. Yeah, right. Anyway, it was kind of like, wow. So because of all of those aspects, the people were a bit loosey-goosey. And this dude comes to him out of nowhere, and he says, wow, guys, I keep dreaming every night of this gold mine filled with Spanish gold. The conquistadors left it here hundreds of years ago, and we can recover it, man. I just got to have some money to drill in the side of this mountain, make a mine, and go get this stuff. And somehow or another, he was able to convince people to invest in that mine. And he built quite the place up there, And to this day, even though he never found this gold, there's this legend about, the dream mine, and the Spanish gold. Well, really, it's not really Spanish gold. They thought it was Spanish gold because that's what it looked like to them. That's what they could relate it to. But it's something that had been there thousands and thousands of years, and it really, though it is expressed in a substance form in the 3D, this is kind of a poetic comedy. There is some, huge caches of pure gold in coin-like forms hidden away in these mountains somewhere, That much of the little scam was true. He just missed it by a few miles, maybe, or maybe a few hundred miles, who knows. See, but the poetic truth is that treasure has been held in these remote lands of the West, because it would take a whole lot longer to pollute these places and try to modify the energy and corrupt it. So just like how we hid the treasure of our innocent self in our heart all along, the dream that we lived in, well, it's the same there. We hid our treasure in these remote places here, which really have, if you look back a bit, and you can prove this geologically, the footprints of our beginnings here are given in this western territory here on Turtle Island, out in these Rocky Mountains and stretching out all over to the west coast. You see, it's quite a vast territory, and really for all of the population that's here now, it's still minuscule compared to how tightly folks in the rest of this world have to live. You see, so there's been plenty of room to hide the presence of the perfect dream here, and of course, you take it apart in elements and you put a little bit over here and a little bit over here and a little bit over here. And so geographically, if you're going to reassociate the energies of this earth and bring it back together as a person and as an experience in this person, well, then you're going to have to travel in this dream that you're living in to all of these various places where these energies are, and collect and gather them back together again. And at some point in that journey, you're actually going to have gone far enough to have put it all back together inside of yourself. Then you're just going to have to sit still for a while until the picture that you just reassembled, all the pieces of the puzzle, all the energies rejoin. You're going to have to let that kind of hatch out. So you go through an incubating time where it's just hatching out. You know, you've collected all these aspects of your own creation. And then you sit there in this place, probably somewhere there in central Oklahoma, because, you know, the tendency there is to stay in one place because it hurts to move around. But you more or less hatch it out. You just keep resonating in that energy, and your vision gets a little bit more clear with each moment. And you get a little closer, and you get a little closer, and you get a little closer, and finally you're able to transplant yourself to a more harmonious substance where the energies around you and the geography, the land around you is, wow, much more complementary. And of course then the substance inside of you, this energy field, grows even more. And you begin to experience a much larger picture of life than you ever lived in before. You didn't know it could get this cosmic or this expansive, and you've been living between the worlds forever, man. You've had a lot of experience here. You thought you were a seasoned vet. Hell, you're a baby child, barely beginning to see. In this sweet moment of love where we expand into it quite naturally, each and every one of us under this sun, the last angry moose, and it's all done. The moose is loose, I'm telling you, dears. Yeah, G-Roo knows what we mean here. Hey, the rest of you guys, shout out to you there in the chat room. Vampy, Starchild, G-Roo, Robbie, Plexi. And all the rest of you joined in out there that can't get into that little chat room or don't want to. It's okay too, baby. The Vibe Tribe's here. We're holding the center for you, man. Everybody else is catching on. We feel it. It's growing. Just like the sun coming up, it's a natural thing, man. You're watching it right here, live and in color, on the radio, man. On the Hazy Radio Network. The sun arises, baby, in the form of you and Grandpa Coyote and this Vibe Tribe, too, all of us. An extension of a singular presence, a heart of love that is so pure, it's like gold, man. It's the hidden treasure inside us. It's the hidden treasure inside of the east, the west, the central parts, everywhere. You know, it's spread out everywhere. You start to see the pieces were never really isolated from themselves. We thought they were. But they're reassembled already. And now we grow into what we've already reassembled. That's the cosmic comic part of it. That's the coyote medicine in it. We've already done it. Now we just realize it. That's how we let go of the drama going on around us and don't see this world as such a messed up place anymore. And don't even see the hatred or the anger arising, let alone the nukes. It's the end of the world as we know it. You dang rights it is. And I feel fine. How about you? About time we got it through, wouldn't you say? Now listen, old Bowinkle's been bugging me all day, so I gotta let him have his say, okay? Because he's got much exponentiation to add to this. Grandpa can only take you so far. Don't you know? Here on the Coyote Medicine Show, your morning wake-up call, and so much more. Where else but the ever-loving Hazy Radio Network, babies? Oh, we love you so. We'll just ask the moose.